today is going to be the first day where I research God or Christianity, so you don't have to. I'm going to tell you real quick why I'm doing Christianity and ignoring the other religions. In short, Christianity is definitely, if any of them are true, it's Christianity. And, it comes down to a lot of things, evidence and whatnot, but I'm going to just give you the main reason right here, right now. Christianity is the only religion that uses prophets that tell only the future, never the past. In fact, it rebukes prophets that tell the facts, or past, and anything that calls for blind faith. Of course, I definitely think there's blind faith involved. However, Muslims, for example, in the Quran, Muhammad comes along, he's like, yo, all that stuff you heard before, nah, didn't happen. You can't prove that. Like, that's ridiculous. You can just hear it and be like, okay, I guess I believe you, or I don't. You have no evidence. So yeah, that's really, it's obviously there's more to it, but yeah, I'm telling you right now, if any religions are true, it's going to be Christianity. My hypothesis before I figure it out is that Christianity is not true, and God. First thing that I'm doing is I have this little playlist on YouTube. It's a bunch of shorts. I don't know why I named it Christianity Proofs, because I've not verified any of them. But I'm going to start here. I'm going to use the stuff in here and see if any of it's true. Okay, so I found these two articles. I'm going to research Sodom and Gomorrah in this video. But they're paywalled. So I'm going to be using a YouTube video or ChatGPT to tell me what they're about. By the way, if anyone doesn't know what Sodom and Gomorrah is, it's just these two cities or whatever in the Bible that were said to be destroyed by God, specifically using fire and brimstone. And I'm looking at research right now about archaeological evidence for them having been destroyed, because yeah. So the first thing that I found out was that it's probably towards the northern end of the let me see what it's called, the Dead Sea, and that's supported by, in the Bible, in Genesis 13:3, it says that Abraham went to Negeb, whatever that is, over to Bethel and Al or whatever. So then basically, also the whole story is in Genesis 13. Abram and Lot went down to Bethel and Al or whatever, and then Abram told Lot, he was like, yo, just you go whichever one you want. And apparently Lot went towards the Jordan Valley, Jordan River, whatever, Jordan Valley, not river. And so he went east, and so that leads us to believe that Sodom was across the river or the sea or whatever. And another thing that supports why it's towards the northern end of the sea or whatever is because in Genesis 14 it says, now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and we found those in the same area. Okay, so now talking about what the first article was mainly talking about is basically this place called Tel El Haman. They were pretty sure was the place because it was the largest city area by the Jordan River, Jordan something, and it had a lot of destruction. However, that destruction was dated around 1600 BC, which is too early. So, but then in 2014, apparently after more research, we somehow, I don't know how, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but basically somehow we found out that the destruction, there was a lot of destruction they found after I don't know, a while, that correlated with the time period. Just so you know, they use carbon dating to see the date of destruction. And then what's actually cool is that they found, I'm gonna read this out, basically evidence that it was burned, because there was a lot of ash despite lots of erosion over time, pottery shreds that melted into glass, melted zircon crystals, which have a melting temperature of 2200 Celsius, mud brick superstructures blown off their foundations, and scorched foundation stones. And then they also found desert glass, which apparently needs temperatures exceeding 6,000 degrees Celsius. It's pretty hot. Basically, what they're saying is that, like, for the desert glass and stuff and all that whatnot that happened, it has to get so hot that it could have really only been from something called a meteoritic airburst. Okay, yeah, I watched, a video and whatnot. Those articles were all paywall. I don't know why, whatever, doesn't matter. But yeah, it seems that it matches up with the Bible, that evidence. I still think, maybe it just happened and then they kind of said, oh, dude, this is God, because back then they didn't have science. So, if you see, they said that the meteor had to explode or disintegrate from its heat about a kilometer above the cities in order to have the airburst that would like match up. If I saw that, dude, and I've never heard of science, I'm going to say, my God, you know what I'm saying? So it matches, totally matches, or at least from what I've seen. Let me know if I'm missing something, but yeah. Also, stay tuned for part 2, and let me know if you want me to like research anything else.